Are you like one of the multitudes of homeschoolers out there just kind of trekking through the jungles of trying to find the best curriculum for your family? Before you go out and buy curriculum for your homeschool, I have got 5 things today for you to consider that will help you to find the best curriculum for you. If you're new here, my name's Erin. I'm a homeschooling mom to 4 kids. I have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, a 2nd grader, and a pre-K kiddo. And we have been homeschooling from the very beginning. So I've spent a little bit of time in the curriculum jungle, so to speak, trying to figure out what's going to work best for us. Choosing curriculum for your homeschool can be super overwhelming. And that's because there are so many options out there, which is kind of a plus and minus of homeschooling. We have the ability to really tailor make a homeschool that will fit our specific family. But it can make it a challenge because there are so many things out there for you to choose from. It's kind of like when you go to the Cheesecake Factory and you have like that decision overload because there's so many items on the menu that you just don't know what to pick. And you're worried that you're going to choose something that you don't end up liking. Well, choosing homeschool curriculum can be kind of like that, but I have got 5 tips for you today, things for you to consider before you purchase your curriculum that will help you to find something that is going to be a great fit for your family. The first thing that you want to do is to assess your current curriculum. Now, obviously, this only applies to people that have homeschooled for at least 1 year. So if you're new to homeschooling, go ahead and skip forward to point number 2. But if you've homeschooled for at least 1 year, some of the things to consider about if this curriculum is working for you is it covering enough? Is it too detailed that it's so dry and boring? Another thing to think about is whether or not you enjoyed the curriculum that you're using. Do your kids enjoy it? Are they having fun learning? We don't want school to be this drudgery and something that our kids hate doing, because then quite frankly, they're not going to absorb the information that we want them to. And so there is some aspect of whether or not we're enjoying the curriculum that is super important to having a peaceful and joy-filled homeschool experience. Another thing is it meeting our particular needs? Every kid is different and they have different needs educationally as well as teaching style-wise and different things like that. So I have a video that I did about evaluating your homeschool curriculum that I will link up here if that's something that you want to look into a little bit further. This is something that you can sit down and just think through what is working with the curriculum that you're already using. Maybe you already love what you have chosen for math, for instance, but you're not loving your language arts program. So it makes it a little bit easier if you can kind of narrow down the number of subjects that you're going to be searching for new curriculum for. So if you have something that is already working, don't change it. That's my best tip. Just if something is working, keep doing it because it's working. Don't get distracted by all the pretty new things that other people are talking about out there. Stick with what works. You will be happier and less stressed and, quite frankly, probably save some money in the long run if you can just stick with what is already working for you. The second thing to do is to consider the goals that you have for your homeschool. I would love to know from you, do you have goals set in place for your homeschool? Do you have like a vision plan already laid out about what you want to accomplish in your homeschool? If you do, will you drop that in the comments below? I'd love to hear what you choose to focus on in your homeschool. Now, if you haven't already established what your goals are for your homeschool, now is the best time to do that because that will help you to choose curriculum that is going to be the best fit for your family. So sit down and think through or reevaluate if you already have current goals, if they're still working for you and there's still things that you want to place an emphasis on. You want to think through things like If your faith is important to you, is the curriculum that you're choosing incorporating aspects of that, or do you want something that's totally secular? Do you want your homeschool to be based on really rigorous educational lessons, or do you want to go the opposite direction and be a little bit more delight directed or child led? That is something that can certainly influence what curriculum that you're going to choose. Is it important to you to keep up with public school standards for your kids' education, or are you comfortable and confident to just move at your child's own pace? Do you prefer using curriculum that uses a rich feast of literature that you study from versus textbooks, or are you the other way around? All of these things are things to kind of consider when choosing what type of curriculum that you pick, because it can directly influence the goals that you have for your homeschool. What is the most important thing that you want to make sure that you focus on in your homeschool? And then once you have that established, you can choose a curriculum that will help facilitate that in your own home. Next, you want to determine your main focus for each individual child. There's kind of two areas of emphasis for this. One is weakness and one is strength. And this is different for each one, because you may have one child that is way ahead and excelling in a couple of subjects, but maybe they're really struggling with something else. So once you can determine those areas of challenge or things that you know that you need to place more emphasis on to kind of catch them up to a place where they're feeling confident in their abilities in that particular subject, then you can make sure that that is a particular curriculum that you need to do more research on to find what is going to fit your child's learning style and their capability and where they're at now, so that they're not doing something so advanced that they're just getting frustrated and melting down in tears every day, because that's not a good place for anybody, especially for them. And so it's important to consider what your child's weaknesses are so that you can emphasize that particular subject for the next year around. And chances are you probably already know what things your child is struggling with as a homeschool parent, because we're in the day-to-day. We know what comes naturally to them and we know what they struggle with. But if you don't know for sure and you're still trying to kind of figure that out, it is easy to look at your child's yearly assessment. If you live in a state that requires you to do yearly assessments like we do, then we can see those subjects where our child might score a little bit lower than average or at average, but you want to boost them up higher or whatever. Those are things that you can look at and tools that you can use to help you find what curriculum is going to be a great fit for you. So on the flip side, another great area of emphasis can be on what your child's strengths are. Because not only do we want to focus on the things that they're struggling in to help them to gain more confidence and ability in those areas, but we also want to focus a good deal of effort on the things that they are naturally gifted at and strong in, because that is a place that's going to encourage them to continue to grow. And obviously, they already have a natural inclination towards this particular subject, and they are going to be more motivated and more driven to pursue other things if they feel like they are really excelling in a particular area. So sometimes it may even be better to focus more on choosing a curriculum that is really going to propel them forward in a particular subject that they're really good at. I heard a quote somewhere that someone said something along the lines of, if a child does really poor in math but excels in tennis, most people would hire a math tutor, but I would rather hire a tennis coach. And so this is kind of along those lines. We want to make sure that we are building up our children in the areas where they have strengths, where the Lord has naturally gifted them, so that they can go on to most likely pursue a career in the path that they're actually interested in. It's funny how that works, right? Not that we forget the areas where they struggle. We do want to place an emphasis on those too, but it is important to look at the areas where they are excelling. And one of the ways that we do this is by asking our kids what they actually want to learn about. It is important to involve your children in the decision process for when you're choosing curriculum, because your role as a homeschool parent is not just to educate them, it is to facilitate a specific education for your individual child. And part of that is by tailor building a homeschool experience that helps them to thrive and to grow in the areas in which the Lord has naturally gifted them, so that they can go on to pursue their dreams using their God-given talents and abilities. So the next thing you want to do is to think through your time commitments for the next school year. Everyone has a whole lot of things that they are trying to juggle, and it is going to be different for everyone, and it is going to be different year to year. One year you might be at a place where you are totally at peace with everything is going smoothly, and you might have the ability to focus on some more in-depth studies that year because you just have more time available. But there are some years where you might be having a new baby come into the family, or you might be moving across the country, or there's a career change happening in your family, or something major is happening where you know you're not going to have quite as much time for you specifically to be teaching a lot of the subjects. And so you might need to look for some curriculum that is going to be a little bit more student-led or directed, or self-empowered, that they can do a lot of it on their own versus needing you to do a lot of that one-on-one attention. So you want to think about how much time that you are going to actually have available for you to be teaching your child. And there are curriculum options out there that fit both of those needs. There are some that are very teacher-led and some that are very independent for your kids to be able to do. So time commitment is a big factor in choosing your curriculum. As far as time commitments go too, thinking through things like, are there sports that your kids are going to be involved in, or are they going to be doing some outside clubs or lessons for something? Are you going to have a co-op that you're part of? Different things like that. Just think through what things you're going to be committed to already, so that you know how much time that you're going to have available for you when you're at home to be doing the teaching. And the fifth thing for you to do is to consider your budget. Your budget may be the determining factor for what curriculum you choose, because there is a huge range out there as far as options go. You can do everything from free homeschooling using resources that are available online or at your library or wherever, all the way up to spending thousands of dollars per child for individualized education or tutoring or whatever, and everything in between. So you need to sit down and think through your budget and how much total dollars that you have available to you for you to spend on your curriculum for the school year. And then from there, you can kind of break that down into how much you can spend on each child. You can think through things like if you're limited with a certain amount, there are a lot of options out there that you can do things family style, where you're doing lessons all together for a particular subject or two. And that will help free up some of the budget resources to be able to spend maybe a little bit more on a specified math program for each kid that is going to be more on their own individual levels. So definitely budget is a huge factor in when you choose your curriculum. You can also do things like buying used curriculum online that can save you a whole lot of money. And that's something that I personally like to do. when we are choosing new curriculum. And I will link down below a couple of websites that I like to use when I'm looking for used curriculum for our family that I've had really good luck in finding, at least teacher guides or textbooks. If you use a curriculum that has a textbook, you can find a lot of those there used and then purchase the new workbook that goes along with it if there is a workbook for a particular curriculum that you're wanting to find. So that is a great option that can save you a little bit of money as well. Next week, I'm going to be sharing a video that is all about kind of my thought process and how I choose curriculum specifically for my family, the things that I think through, and how I go about doing that. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you know when I post that new video. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful for you to help point you down the right path in choosing curriculum that is going to work best for your family. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up and share this out to anyone else that you think might find it helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.